Welcome to the number one marketing and motivational podcast in the world. You already know. It's your favorite host, JHCO, here to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. In today's episode 27, the future of the cannabis industry with Blain Steely. Here today,
Right.
I'm going to go ahead, let him take over the podcast. The floor is yours.
Sure. My name is Blain, the owner of Mavi Collective. Right now, off the rip, you would, it's a small little store in a small town, but we have a few things developing in the industry, taking a couple turns and going a few different routes. And I'm excited to be here, man. I'm really looking forward to this.
For sure, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show
Yes,
today,
sir,
man.
for
All
sure.
right. So, exactly, what is a Mavi?
Amavi is Latin to love, how we touched on, But Amavi is wellness, man, overall wellness, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional. And we're really getting into the fact where we have a lot of products coming, and promoting the brand is a decent amount of importance. But the most important thing is the continued fight against regulations in the cannabis industry. I think people really underestimate what that is. It is nuts, and there's two sides to it, of course, hemp and marijuana. So it just depends on where you want to go with it, and everything like that. It's a lot, man, but I'm really, it's awesome. It's fun. I've learned a lot. The business is new and everything like that. It's still developing, but yeah. Things are looking really good. Let me just say that.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. So, where do you see the future of cannabis industry?
Well,
have you ever thought about starting your own podcast, but don't know where to start? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had so many questions. How do I record an episode? Where do I find background music? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? Or where do I find advertisers? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and 100% ridiculously easy to use. So go to jalenmarketing.com/anchor and start today.
medical marijuana is legalized in Georgia. They're putting the committee together right now to just, get applications out so people can apply. There are 6 licenses. It's basically going to be 2 big licenses that will be able to extract, and then 4 smaller ones that are just growing, I believe is how it's working out. Yeah, and hemp's federally legalized, as you know, so that's an open game. So we're really trying to hit that, full stride, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay, real quick, I was reading up. I seen that you was in the Calhoun Times newspaper when y'all opened up,
Yes.
and doing my research on Amavi, I seen that Governor Kemp, he passed House Bill 324,
Yes.
which allows some loopholes to cannabis to be grown and things like that. Could you speak on that, and what do you mean?
House Bill 324 is kind of what I was just touching on, that it is the 6 licenses. There's going to be a total of, people think it's crazy because marijuana is legalized in Georgia. It's like the area that we come from, they can't fathom that. And they think, but it's only 2 acres,
Right.
That's what people don't understand. Out of 6 license, that's 200,000 square feet, and then 450,000. Excuse me, it's not 2 acres, but it's less than 5, right? I mean, total. To get the supply we need for, I think there are 8,000, 10,000 medical marijuana patients already in Georgia,
Wow.
and they have no access to get any of their medicines. So that's pretty much the biggest thing, Medical marijuana, the oil has been legalized, the 5% oil has been legalized since 2015, but Georgia didn't put a law in for us to be able to access that medicine, or for anybody to be able to access it. They made it impossible. Not nearly it was impossible unless you were committing a federal offense going to another state.
Right.
Cool. So that's kind of where Georgia is, and kind of where we're at.
So is it safe to say that Amavi Collective will be one of the first dispensaries, in Georgia or in Calhoun?
Well, see, it's safe to say that Amavi Collective is already the first dispensary of cannabis. Like I said, cannabis is hemp and marijuana, no matter how you look at it. Same cannabinoids. Hemp, I think the medical term is cannabis sativa L is the actual name of it.
Okay.
But to answer your question, I know you're asking from a marijuana perspective, and the answer is yes, that's the goal. But the number one goal is to get an increase of what we're able to sell. I mean, it is legalized to sell the 5% oil to just patients, right? Mm-hmm. What we want is the flower or stronger oil and stuff like that. So like I said, it's a continued fight, and we're 1.5 years in just on the business side of things, right?
Right.
It's been longer than that for sure. So it's opening it up, man. It really is. Like, Georgia has a chance to really knock it out of the park, especially with Florida doing a couple years of oil and then developing into flower. Same process, bro.
Right.
You know, same process.
Okay.
And I mean, less than 5 years, it's going to be recreational.
Take it out.
For sure. And it's probably going to be because one of our presidents legalized it federally before Georgia makes the decision to do it. I feel that way at least.
Got you. And when I came in today, man, you let me get some of this CBD Living Water 9.5, man. So,
right.
And I drink a lot of water. I'm an athlete, man, and I can really taste, the difference in this water right here, man. So could you tell me a little bit what this CBD water can actually do for you?
Man, CBD in general can do a lot for you. Just health benefits, recovery, if you, like you said, you're an athlete and everything like that.
Right.
There's a lot, but the water, I think it's very interesting. Water is at its best when it's balanced, right?
Right.
And that is when we are at our best, and that's when cannabis is at its best. So it's like a balance more so than an overconcentration of CBD.
Right. You
want a balanced approach. You want the cannabinoid spectrum to be full, like the plant. So really interesting. The better the balance of water, the better it is for you. Just like cannabis.
Cool.
So I'm a huge man. I drink 100 ounces of water a day, bro. I love it.
Right.
You just feel better,
So what actually does CBD do for your body, man? Does it get you high? Does it just relieve pain? Does it, what is the purpose of taking it? It doesn't get you high, man.
That's what people, full spectrum CBD, which is what you want. You don't want isolates. You don't want some of the cannabinoids. You want them all, including THC, man. Every hemp plant has THC. Make sure you got that. Every hemp plant has THC, man. So if you're getting a CBD oil or a salve or gummies and it's no THC, then you are not getting any medical benefits. You're not getting any medical benefits from that cannabis. Right. It's not cannabis. It's CBD. That's what, Mm-hmm. And I think people get confused. CBD is the dominant compound in hemp. So if you have the hemp plant, naturally it's going to be CBD oil, Mm-hmm. And where people try to make the distillate and make the isolate and just sell you CBD, that's not what we're about. The bare minimum of medical cannabis should be full spectrum CBD. Anything above that should be marijuana, the 5% oil that we talked about and beyond.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, man. Thanks for educating us on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch topics a little bit, and this topic that I'm about to touch on could be a little bit, for some people could be a little bit, So we're just gonna get right into it, man. So with this going to be legalized,
let's get heavy, man.
And we have some people, like minorities, who are still getting locked up for little bags of dime bags and nickel bags, and then we got some of the executives over here opening up acres and acres of land and just growing it and making $millions of dollars off of that. So can you talk about that?
Oh man, this is like my favorite topic because I feel not, and we'll just hit it square, right?
Yeah,
so like based off race, I'm not a minority,
right?
But I happen to grow up in the culture, I guess, so I have a real firsthand experience of that. I've had multiple people, 2 to be in fact, that come to mind, 3 if you throw in last year, that have faced offenses here recently or whatever, and it's very sad, especially when you see all the cities in Atlanta. even I think, I don't want to say it for sure, but maybe Columbus or Augusta, one of them has decriminalized marijuana and all of that. So that's ultimately the goal, right? Like, that's the biggest thing, that's the most important thing. All of the people that are locked up right now will be set free. And there are actually states like Illinois or New York that are going to automatically release people that are, non-violent charges, just marijuana, been locked up most of their life, like it's really terrible, honestly. But that's why we do it, or that's why I do it, so I can always, speak for myself. But a Mavi in general, man, nobody should be going to prison for a plant, like, just straight fact. I don't care if you're white, black, brown, it doesn't matter. But it's no secret that coming from where we come from, being around Atlanta, and I mean, the vast majority of people that get arrested for marijuana are African American, black, or, however you want to look at it. And it's something that needs to be addressed. Let's just say that, right? It really does. And I think Georgia, being the center of the South, like, has the most power in making that change. I don't think like New York's not going to do that. Oregon, like, just because like 98% of people that live in Oregon are white or Pacific, or something like that. So it's not of importance. I don't want to say that, but I think it's really a big deal that Georgia be the first to like make that known that that's why they're doing that, because of the population and the demographics here, So, and that's just really my thought. We've been fighting for that for a while, and we will continue to fight for that, But Georgia, I have to say, with all of that being said, bro, with the other states acting how they do, Georgia's actually going out of its way to do that. So they're making a minimum, you have to have minority-owned businesses and all of that. And what was the other thing that the banking and stuff like that, they're going out of their way to make sure that they have those things covered. So I have nothing but good things to say about the state of Georgia when it comes to medical marijuana with that. But, a little push, a little bit more, for the flower. Like, let's push for the flower. Let's push to get these guys released now, not next year, not 2 years, not after it's been legalized, not after people have made millions of dollars in Georgia off medical marijuana. Let's get these people out of prison, and let's get on track here and do the right thing, So that's really it. Awesome. That's the most important thing about this entire process, man, for real. And I think that everybody that's been around will agree with that, or that's in it in Georgia. It's a really big deal. And man, what would it be like to be not that? Cannabis is the reason, right? It's not you. It's cannabis. Like, cannabis be the reason that all those people come back and get what they deserve, And not only that, to get their records clean, allow them to work in cannabis if they want to, and all of that, because if you have federal offenses, you can't work in cannabis. Point blank. Like, I think it may be not federal, felonies, drug-related offenses. You can't work in cannabis. Well, they're all those millions of people you're releasing. That's why they were in prison. So you're releasing them to not be able to do what they wanted. You know what I mean? So it's kind of you have to figure it out, and there are a lot of moving parts, but we're going for it, So that's the goal.
And I have recently seen that we had a hurricane hit, Hurricane Duran. I'm not sure the name, but a lot of the states that have it legalized, they actually use their tax dollars to donate to help that relief. So do you think legalizing that and using that tax dollars to help lift up the economy, do you think that's something that would work, or how you feel about that?
100%, bro. I think the first year, Colorado, like $500 million in taxes off just flower sales by itself. And Georgia's planning to infrastructure, roadways and education. I think education and transportation, are the two things that they're looking for the tax dollars to go in. I think that's the most important thing. Georgia's the #1 business state, right? But I think we do lack a little bit in our education system in certain areas, especially in the, Atlanta, where the majority of what we're talking about is going on right now, because we are in North Georgia right now where, this is hopefully going to blow up because people are going to be like, what is going on, you know, because I think people are not aware of how quickly medical marijuana is coming. Not even medical marijuana, just marijuana in general. Right. So, yeah, that's it. I don't know.
How do you think they will regulate it? Because like right now, under
it's
the
already
table,
regulated.
it's so many people who have like pounds in a closet right now.
Right.
It's making hundreds and thousands of dollars
more,
and then and then we got the ones who's actually getting their license like you and opening up these shops and these businesses to actually do it the correct way. How do you think? What do you think that'll be a problem in going forward with this?
I think it was okay. So it's very interesting. The whole industry is interesting. So it's broken down into segments. The state runs the industry. Each state is different, right? But at the same time, because California was the leader in marijuana and everything like that, they're also kind of the leader in the shutdown of the black market. So it's making its own sweep through the country. Like, so marijuana legalizing, there's also this black market sweep that's getting shut down, right?
Cool.
What's coming from that is less kids smoking because they can't access marijuana. Right. And, the quality is going up and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. So the black market is actually still thriving. That's what people don't understand, right? So it's kind of, it's going to go away though, right? Yeah. But it's all about quality and stuff like that. And again, that's my own opinion, but there is a difference, right? But the black market itself has taken its own hits, but it's also kind of, let me refrain. There's two types of black markets, right? There's the ones you're not sure if you should buy, if you should, and there's some that are so organic that it's like, I want that, I can't get it anywhere. It's just, the content of that flower is clean, organic, and whereas it's better than the dispensary marijuana. So in a sense, that black market is better for you, People like to think of the black market like, oh, criminals, blah, blah, blah. But really, there are a bunch of black market people that can't afford licensing or whatever that grow the best marijuana,
Sure.
So the home grows are important, That's the non-licensing growers are important. That's in that sense, because it's just like anything else. Business, they're trying to regulate it and control it a little bit so they can have just that, the control. But, the black market still, in that sense, will thrive until there isn't one. And the only way that happens is it being federally legalized. Because up until December, you technically still had a black market hemp industry, but you could sell oil to all 50 states, just not the plant, right? So there's still technically a black market there. So the black market is major, really. It really is.
That's all I know about is the black market.
Right. I think that's all how we got started, right? I think all the big guys, unless there are industry guys coming in just to throw some money, that's where, and that is important. That's the people that are in prison, Going back to that, and that's the people. Again, two sides to the black market. They're criminals because you made them criminals, right? If we could go back and look at each person and look at their story, in the black market, I guarantee you the people that have spent years of their life in prison had probably some of the cleanest marijuana or hemp or whatever, because that's all they were just growing a little bit or whatever. Whereas when you get into these bigger regulated markets, it's just massively produced with not as much, care with the plant. So a lot of things can be produced and, make a worse product. I don't want to say that, but regulations aren't always the best, So when they're controlling the industry, that's what I'm trying to say. That's when they're not at their best. So.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and switch gears again. I want to go toward, promoting and branding and marketing and advertising, not only a Mobby collective, but also the product and cannabis. How do you feel about being are people gonna be able to advertise on Facebook and advertise on Instagram and Google? Do you think are we gonna go to where you can basically
have a great story,
buy some grams off of Google? Like where are we going?
Listen to this. I really believe that is where we're going, and this is why. Since hemp is federally legalized now, I actually had a conversation December or January with two different guys. One was the CEO of Lucasfilms, which is Star Wars.
Right.
And the other one ran like the charity at Google or something, right? They wanted to invest in him. And in short, if Google, is wanting to invest in hemp, they are only going to do that when the regulations are put in place that they can advertise.
Right.
So they're going to be the powerhouse, I would say, of the federal market, or try to be at least. But not a shot at Google. The guy I was talking to, and they had a pharmacist and they had a doctor talking to me about CBD. You know what I mean?
Right.
They didn't have the complete idea, right? And I wasn't going to give it to them.
Right.
So I think, like we know, it's trial and error, man.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're trying to sell a brand behind a terrible product, you will be exposed.
Right.
So it's okay. I do believe that companies like Google will get into it. Amazon, oh yes. But the ones that know the plant, the ones that can push the brand, all of that is important, right? It's a different game. Right. It's not buying and reselling Tide pouches. They didn't make that. It's a different game for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones that get in on Amazon, Amazon's gonna make their money. Google's gonna be able to advertise and everything like that.
Right.
But so will we.
Right.
At that point. So that's the point of this. Mm-hmm. We can, and they can too right now, but they're not taking the risk because they don't have to. Right. We have to.
Right.
Of course, we, just like you said, we're taking risks every day, putting ourselves out there in a state that may or may not accept us for who we are. Right. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, if you're not trying to be at the front or be a pioneer or anything like that, what are you trying to do?
What are you doing?
You're just gonna hit the wave late, no, that's not how we play. We're always ahead, or try to be, and that's why I love the two sides to it. Like on the marijuana side, when we have the ability to shift into that, no one else will have that ability. Mm-hmm. So they will be still on the CBD wave, which is great, but you can get CBD from marijuana.
Right.
So it just depends on the plant
and
what you're going for.
So would you say that, brands are the future when growing this cannabis thing?
100%. Yes. Branding to me is the future of any industry right now. And it's the present. So that's why the main reason we're doing this. I know there may or may not be anybody watching, but I promise 10 years from now, this will matter. And you'll be glad that you did it because nobody else is doing it.
Right.
The only people that are doing it are the ones that started on YouTube before YouTube was huge, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things that I honestly believe, and I'm getting into it myself. So this is a big thing for me. Entrepreneurs are going to be getting followed around with a camera all the time.
Right.
Like you said, voice and all of that. That is real. Mm-hmm. I mean, highly capable. A friend of mine sent me a video the other day of this robot on Cheddar, just doing some backflips. He didn't know that I had seen the video already, because I'm, try to be ahead of the wave in everything, of course. That's where the money is, ahead of the wave, If anybody asks me where the money is, that's where it's at, You just have to be willing to wait on the wave, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. He sent me a picture of the robots, doing backflips, and people think that throwing an open sign on the front door of their business is going to magically draw in thousands of customers in their store. That's just not how it is anymore. Right. I think I put up a tweet the other day about demonizing technology, right? We don't have a choice.
Right, yeah, right.
So the people that don't adjust to this podcast life, the people that don't, they're just going to be, they're going to miss the wave.
Right.
And it's a huge wave.
Right.
Huge. Since the internet. What people don't understand is cannabis is literally the industry after it's the only thing that's ever been compared to the internet, bro. It's just so different. There's so much to it. You can make money off of a cannabis business and not even be selling cannabis, that type of thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that making money off what you can't see also, dude, I think those types of things are huge because I say that most people can't see it. The reason you're making money off of it is because you can see it, right? So, yeah, that cannabis in general, it excites me, but business excites me, man. Like just this whole, the technology wave excites me. Seeing my daughter, bro, you know, just operate. It's
crazy.
Yeah,
right?
man.
It's crazy.
It's like, it's a different world, let's say that. And I think that I parent a little bit differently in that sense. I don't like just screen time. Like I don't do that. We do the baseball and all of that or whatever. But bro, she learns, you know, and she's smarter because of technology. Like if we use it as a tool, you know, like it's supposed to be used, very beneficial for sure. Yeah, I mean the increase in your revenue, you can just tell all the way around. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in technology. Right. And that's really it.
And as you say that, it's like right now we have one TV show. We have 2 TV shows. We have 3 TV shows. We got 4 shows going on right now. Just with technology, man. Like the TV is instinct, bro. It's all about these phones.
It's a medium.
You know what I'm saying? It's a medium.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now we're in front of, you know, thousands of people right now, you know, telling the brand, telling the story, leading the forefront of the cannabis industry, man. How do you feel about being one of the top influencers doing that?
Man, I had never like put any thought into that. When I think about it though, like I don't know, we haven't accomplished our goal yet, you know. So it's like I'm still getting after it,
hungry.
But when I'm letting the state of Georgia know right now, I may not be the first to put a seed in the ground next year, but I will be the first to get the application in. Let's say that, you know. That's it, you know. As soon as that happens, it may hit me a little bit, but it's just become so normal the last year and a half. And the conversations, that's the thing about this, man. This conversation me and you are having, you have to have with every customer, right? You can go into smoke shops or whatever that have to pay tobacco tax to sell what they sell, you know, because they got other things in there. We don't do that. You can come in here and we know what's up with cannabis, whether it be regulations, whether it be the grow, the extract, the products that we serve, all of that. You don't get that anywhere in Georgia. You are starting to, let me say that. But, you know, you definitely didn't get that here last year this time, right? So I think that the wave is here. And, it's I just want to make sure we do everything that we're supposed to do, including not getting satisfied with where Georgia's at, because it's not the 5% THC oil is great, but it's still a CBD dominated plant. So like I said, hemp is CBD dominated, but marijuana can also be CBD dominated. So you do get the high and everything, but it's not like your OG Kushes or whatever, you know, stuff like that.
Green Goblin.
Right, whatever it is,
Got you.
Yeah, so.
Cool, man.
It's a very interesting subject. Every time somebody walks in here, they always have a different story, bro, for real. But I love it because most of the time they leave, you know, accepting. It doesn't take much. Once you start to, you know, understand it, people are accepting of it. So, just trying to get people to realize that. You're not going to get high, for one thing, off full spectrum CBD. You're not going to you're not going to fail a drug test either. And I think people are scared of that. And of course, bro, people have failed drug tests off like poppy seed muffins for heroin, you know? So you might have your false positive, but if you're honest, I take full spectrum CBD, you know? Like, man, it's just crazy having to deal with that. But people honestly think they're in here, you know, doing drugs and stuff like that, and that's just completely too far from the truth.
Right. So right here, man, I'm looking at your product, bro, and it got, you know, your name, your brand, your label, you know, your address, like everything is all right here is the full spectrum CBD.
Right.
How are you able to package your own product, bro, and, you know, manufacture? How are you doing that, man?
Technology, man.
Technology.
You know? What I've learned, the biggest thing to do is to invest in technology, right? When you waste time, that's the expense that you don't know, you can't keep track of, right? So I'm an accountant, or try to be, right? So the expense you can't keep track of is your time. You can't put a dollar amount on that, right? So even though we bought like a less, in between $4,000 or $5,000 label printer, after we figured out the process to the printer, after we got the right sizes for every label we need, now it's at the click of a button. 10,000 labels in less than 10 minutes for, $4,000 instead of buying a minimum order of 5,000 pre-made labels for $1,500. And it's all based on budget, of course. So if you don't have the money, then go with the $1,500 like we had to. But recognize that you're going to have to adjust, to save some money to get to that point to buy a printer or buy more product or whatever it may be. You have to build really every side of it. That's what I've learned. Build how many labels you can do, and then you develop into creating your own labels. And it's kind of the same thing with the product. Though we weren't held back by technology with the product, we were held back by regulation. So now we can develop our own product in Georgia, grow, extract, It's a great thing.
Cool. So what do you think, what would you say is the most important part about, growing this type of business? And what would you say to the person who want to get started, in your footsteps?
Okay. This for me is all the way around, right? The number one thing. I don't know. I don't think it's the area that we live in. I just think it's our generation. And we don't have to touch too much on that. But the biggest thing is to block out everyone, man. Every single person. Don't listen to anyone. All right? Because either they want you to fail and they're feeding you negativity, or, they can't see what you see out of this. So they're not going to be able to be as excited as you. They can try, but it's not going to happen, So what I've had to do, I don't care, and I've had this conversation with LC a couple times. I try to recognize the positive and negative comments. And like I said, you just don't listen to either, right? Don't listen to either. Don't get satisfied off that, oh, good job. That doesn't mean anything because that was a good job, right? It's not currently a good job.
Facts.
So whatever you do right now, when we get done with this podcast or whatever it may be, you have to do that again every time. There's no stopping, right? And people think you can get to this point where you're almost taking breaks is cool, but don't take a break in your work. Take some time to reset. That's fine, but taking a complete break just because you're at the level that you want to be at, that's a recipe for disaster. Being stagnant is the worst thing, I feel like, because you're not doing anything. You're not getting worse. You're not getting better. And then all of a sudden, the universe, or in this case, the industry, is going to develop in a certain way where you're not going to be in the front anymore. You're not going to be number 1, 2, or 3. You're going to be in the back, or not on the wave. But like I'm saying, you have to really, that'd be the most thing. I don't listen to anyone, man. But I like that includes. And this is crazy to say, but that includes my wife. That everyone, and and I think that is. For me, I'm just speaking for me, that is the best thing, right? Because I'm so laser focused on what I want to do that I can't accept negativity. That's a guarantee I'm not going to. Now, I might acknowledge a comment depending on who it comes from or whatever, but I've forgotten it, since then, because I'm trying to do something else, to get not noticed, but it's not even about that, It's about staying focused on the task. That's the biggest thing. So blocking out everyone and really zoning in on what you want to do, because that's the only way you'll get it done. I was telling LC the other day, man, really, it's not the end result that changes. But you can develop a plan we developed a plan. The kinks and the pathway to get to that end result, they have changed. We've had to do things differently than we planned to do, but we still planned to get to the same result, and we did. So I think people adjust their end result too quickly rather than adjusting what they're going through on that path to still get to their end result. They'll come to a crossroad, and instead of adjusting and still going to whatever it is you're trying to get to, they'll change and go off a different path completely.
Or pick something new.
Pick something new. That's it. And
the thing is glittering.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
then something will happen while they're, subconsciously on that path, and they'll be like, "Oh, I want to get back on this path over here." And it's a never-ending cycle.
Right.
Don't listen to anyone. which sounds awful, bro. It really does, but it was the only way that I could make it, man.
Right.
And I got, or not even I can make. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
Like,
you know where you at today, though.
The way that I am, and like how I push. I mean, be happy, man, and take care of yourself, right? For sure. But on the business side of things, like, if I listened to anybody, you know, it's Gary or whatever, but if I would have listened to anybody, I wouldn't be doing this.
Right.
You know, none of us would,
right.
because there has been a lot of the positive definitely outweighs the negative. But you can imagine, you know, starting in cannabis, especially where we're at. Right. You know, there's been some negativity there, especially when we were first just getting started. You know, like, people don't actually fathom that you are going to do this because. And I hate this, bro, but I come from around a lot of people that talk about what they want to do or what they used to do, right? And it's like, what are you doing? You know, that's what I want to know.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm doing, you know, and I think that that alone makes people uncomfortable.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
So, it's been fun, man. Like, this is great. Like, the whole process and the whole journey that we've had, it's all been worth it, you know, and it's only going to continue to get better, you know. So,
sure.
But yeah,
man.
What about you, man? How are you doing?
Hey, I'm wonderful, man. You know, glad to have you on the podcast,
sure.
man. Glad to have you share some of these tips, man. Some of these strategies, some of these success stories, and even just what you said, like not listening to anybody, bro.
That is the main thing. It's so hard, bro, because people will keep saying the same thing over and over, like. It's crazy. I think people are, they kind of want you to need them, you know?
Right.
So, you know, being self-sustainable is something we need to preach, really. You know, being able to take care of you on your own in different ways, mentally and financially.
Right.
You know, that needs to be spoken about as well.
Right.
Like, you have got, as an entrepreneur, I don't know who's trying to be an entrepreneur. Honestly, to anybody who's trying to be an entrepreneur, depending on what you're going into, I wouldn't recommend it. You know, I would not recommend it.
Why is that?
Well, just because like you have to be a different breed, man.
Yeah, sure.
Straight up,
yeah, man.
Like, you're going to take losses
all the time.
Yeah, and if you're not, you know, if that's not you, that's okay.
Yeah,
you know,
and
it's not a big deal. But at the same time, like I said, the positive and outweighs the negative, man. Right. But there's some negative that some people won't be able to deal with, you know. And, you know, taking losses hurt, especially financial losses, right? But, yeah, if you can go be a doctor, go be a doctor, you know. But being an entrepreneur is definitely different. And I think
Is it better?
Oh, dude, yes, no doubt.
Why?
Because I can do whatever I want.
Freedom.
Right, but I had to earn that. I had to work to get to that point, right? So for a long time, being an entrepreneur was working 24 hours a day. It still kind of is, right? You're working 24 hours a day. You don't have free time. You can do what you want. Like, I can go hang out with my kids and my wife and do the family thing.
Right.
But I have my phone, and people don't understand.
Always
like,
working.
You always working. You're not, and it's crazy. I remember my last year of college, man. I was going into my last semester, about to graduate, and I worked at Big Time Products, and they had a controller there. He had his MBA, and I asked, he was an older guy getting ready to retire, and I asked him one time, I said, why have you never owned your own business? He said, because you gotta work 24/7. And at that time, I was just like everyone else, and they're doing my accounting job, 9 to 5, going home, and then going to school at night, and then coming back. I had to put in that time for 4 years, you know, of what I didn't want to do, plus the year and a half at Amavi of, you know, of all the outside whatever. And yeah, now we're just now I would say, what, 5-6 years into the total process, as old as my oldest daughter is. So she's about to be 5 years old, right? So 5 years really to get to where we're at, and Georgia hasn't even put applications out yet, you know. So that excites me, right? You know, instead of the how does it feel to be the influencer or whatever in the leader, that excites me to know that I've been 5 years in this, you know, and
it's not even
it's just developing.
Right.
It's just like the podcast and the technology and the entrepreneurs and all of that. Just like other industries, CBD, the isolates we spoke on, I won't touch too much on that anymore. Those guys will be weeded out eventually, right? Their product is not sustainable. It's just not. So, but, a lot of people's products aren't sustainable.
Cool, man. Hey, and I love what you're saying, because the people who listen to this podcast are mostly entrepreneurs. They're mostly people who in motivation or marketing and stuff like that. So I want to bring it back, to that before we end the show.
Sure.
And how can you, how important is creating this content for your brand and doing these Instagram lives and talking about this stuff? How important is that for you?
The most important. When we first started, we were selling someone else's products. That was it, right? We wanted to develop a plan for our own brand to push, but we didn't have the products to put it behind. So we had to develop the products, blah, blah, blah. But the whole time, it's the brand,
Right.
The personal brand, the doing this and everything that you're doing, bro. Again, respect to you, bro, because you're ahead of the wave and you're going to be compensated for that eventually. So keep grinding. But, the brand is the most important thing, right? And like Gary said, make some content, bro. Make some content. Stop being uncomfortable. It's like people don't want to put out content for themselves or business or anything because they're afraid of what the world's going to say. You are you already, it doesn't matter if somebody sees it or not, unless it's a business. Then it matters. You want them to see that, right? So why would you not do that? Why would you not, put your content out and all of, why?
Why not?
Why would you not? It blows.
Because people will judge you. People will talk negative about you.
I don't judge, bro. I really don't. I don't even, like I said, and that, let me touch back on that, because this will be a good cut, bro. The not listening to people, right? That's the judgment side of me. I don't listen to anything because I can't judge them. You see what I'm saying? I don't judge myself, bro. Right. Judging has to be the last thing you do or pay attention to from someone else. Right. That's the biggest thing about blocking out what people say, right? Because they are going to cast judgment on what you're doing. They're going to say this, and this. I've had people, before I started this 5 years ago, let's say 3 or 4, because Hazel was old, that told me I was going to get divorced because I was starting my own business and stuff like that, you know, and the average person might, but I'm not the average person, bro, and that's a big message I want to, no one is average, there's no average, bro, there's only as much as you can do, right? The average is you limiting yourself. I don't care if you're making $50,000 a year or $500,000 a year. You become average when you get to those points if you start becoming stagnant, right? So you can be average and make millions, and
because you got potential to make billions if you wanted to.
Exactly. Gotcha. So you're still average, and that's not a shot at anybody. But I'm not trying to ever be average, So for me, it's not based on a dollar amount. None of this is, right? But it's not a average business. It's a small business, but that's exactly what it is right now. But our core business, as far as products, is the less important part of our business. That because of regulations in Georgia and us having to sell CBD to even have a cannabis product in Georgia, people think that that's our main business plan, and our main business model is just selling CBD, and it's not. The brand as a whole is our business model, and it branches off into different areas. Grow 1, grow 2, different types of grows, different strains, different, we got 2 extraction facilities, possibly one for hemp, one for marijuana. Then we have, there's a lot. Being first comes with its perks, bro. So same thing with you as a consultant, cannabis consultant, marketing consultant, social media consultant, whatever it is. And you just really start to monetize the whole thing. That's when you win. That's how you build wealth. Aside from stocks and real estate. If you can get into any industry and hit all segments of it and make it your own and basically pay yourself a markup, that's how you win. And people don't understand that. They just want to buy and resell stuff. Now that's good, but you don't need a store for that. Basically, this isn't a retail establishment. I don't look at it that way. I look at it like this is a marketing scheme. Right? They can drive by and see this cannabis sign or CBD sign. they don't have to walk in here to buy. They can swipe up on their phone.
Right.
Why would they walk in? They just drive by and then go to our Instagram and order something.
Right.
Not right now, obviously. With the website being ready next week. But like I said, it took us some time to attach our brand to products because we wanted to make sure we were providing good products, bro. I don't want to put my name on terrible product.
Right. Quality is key.
Yeah, no doubt. So
real quick, sorry to interrupt you, man.
You're good, dude.
I want to say something real quick because you touched on something. You said you don't look at this as a retail, location.
Right.
And that's huge because we got people like Kmart, Payless, Toys R Us, all these places going out of business because people are starting to shop online.
Right.
And going straight to Amazon, straight to Google.
Right.
You're kind of ahead of that. So, what would you say about that, or what do you have to say about that?
Really two things. One, if you're going to have retail establishments, strategically place them and strategically count how many you need, right? So it's okay that we have these, but it doesn't need be our main revenue stream. We need to, the online it should be 4 or 5 times more than what you're doing at one store probably. Right. But the main thing, man, is the marketing side of it. It's just seeing that. I think it's more so for people that are behind the cannabis wave or behind any entrepreneurial wave. They have to see it in real time. So it's more of a marketing expense is how I look at it,
right.
Whereas, like you said, Toys R Us and Kmart going out of business left and right because that's the only way they survive.
Right.
So that it's not that, it's not that they haven't gotten into it. It's that I think they have so much money invested into that.
Yeah.
That it put them in a situation where if let's say Kmart invested in just going online, are they so far behind that people are going to go to Kmart.com over Amazon.com? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like it's over.
Yeah.
It's terrible, bro.
Uh-huh.
Now your mom and pop shops in towns like here or whatever,
towns,
they will work because you have that local community and that is why we don't try to put too much pressure on our retail establishments. Right?
Uh-huh.
The right amount of pressure on it is right. You just have to find, like I said, it's got to be strategy. Put it in the right area. Don't put too many, and build your online where your online is paying for everything, making 10 times that.
Passive,
So
streams of oceans of revenue.
Yeah. So if you're making $100,000 online and 15 to 20 grand in each store, let's say, then focus. You can wait till you get to 200,000 to open a third one. It's still gonna make you 10 or 15, and at that point you would want to do that if it makes sense, right? But again, it's a marketing thing. Maybe that area you're putting that store in isn't really aware of your brand, then that's where you would put the retail place. So it's all about who you can reach online. Right. So if you can whoever you reach online, if they're buying from you, if you have a bunch of people in Rome or Dalton or here, then we don't have to worry about this spot if they're already buying online. So eventually we could shut down our stores as well. We would have so much volume, going online. But I think let me touch on this. Tillman Fertitta, do you know him? Owner of the Houston Rockets. He was on Gary Vee's podcast the other day. He made all of his money on restaurants. So I do believe that there are some industries that will continue to have retail establishments. I think, the food, I always talk about Blue Apron and HelloFresh because that's what my wife and I do. 3 times a week, kind of expensive. Nobody's making money in it. DoorDash, the delivers aren't making money in it. The guys they're not making money. So I do believe that industries like restaurant industries will still be, retail-ish, kind of serve me fresh food, face-to-face communication, whereas me and you could be having a meeting across the world from each other every day and not see each other for a year and get all of our business done, So it just depends on the industry, man, and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish.
Man. So, that pretty much concluded the podcast. Do you have anything else that you wanted to, where can they find you? Where can they follow you?
At Blain Steely, BLAIN, no E, right? 2 E's in Steely, no E at the end either, right? that at Blain Steely across all boards, at Amavi Collective. Yeah, man. And if, again, this is what I want to say. If there's anybody out there, I know there's a lot of entrepreneur people. Well, like I said, don't listen to anyone. Do you. Keep grinding. Keep hustling. And if you're a cannabis consumer, man, we love you. And if you need help, just shoot me an email, Blain, again, no E, BLAIN 2124 at Gmail. We can get, we'll hook you up. Cannabis can help a lot of things. If you're in pain and all of that, let us know, man. That's what it's about, the cannabis community, really, and the entrepreneurial community, because we're trying to get it.
Yes, sir. Hey, Blain, man, thanks for coming on today's episode, The Future of Cannabis Industry with Blain Steely, guys. Thank y'all, man. Y'all go like, y'all go comment, y'all go leave a 5-star review on this podcast so we can rank up, man, and continue to bring y'all the best content and be the best, motivational podcast out, man. Catch y'all in the next episode. We out.